Here's to 2024 being a great year for retro video games.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance
8-bit joystick. 2023 is almost in the bag, and instead of looking back at the year, I'd like to spend this video looking forward to retro gaming in 2024. In 2024, there are new retro games that I can't wait to see, classic retro games that I totally need to play, cool future hardware that I look forward to learning about, retro video game events I want to go to, and finally, my retro gaming New Year's resolutions for 2024. Now, on to the games! New retro game releases that I'm looking forward to. The term retro means of an old style, so it's not a contradiction for there to be new retro games or collections of retro games that I want to play in 2024. Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster, Rune and Dunan Unification Wars. I greatly enjoyed the original Suikoden on PlayStation 1. It was an old school 16-bit styled RPG, but used all the available power and memory of the PlayStation to deliver a ton of excellent 2D animation and excellent hand-drawn artwork. It straddled the line between a traditional role-playing game and a tactical role-playing game just by having so many characters that came and went at very large parties of heroes in very large battles. I was really excited to see that the first two games were going to be remade with detailed 2D artwork, and I'm definitely okay with a delay for the developers to make sure that it's a high-quality game release. Initially, it was supposed to come out in 2023, but I'm definitely going to look forward to it in 2024. Otogi Katsugeki Mameda no Bakeru, Oracle Saitarou no Sainan. This 3D platformer action game is a spiritual follow-up to the Ganbare Goemon games. It features a mystical tanuki guy who transforms into a human and fights a Japanese festival army using traditional Japanese taiko drumsticks. It looks like an over-the-top, fun, super cute, super happy Japanese 3D platformer, and it looks like a return to the wackiness of the Ganbare Goemon series. I love it when game staff that worked on past creative games that were abandoned by their publishers go on to make spiritual sequels. This is exactly the kind of new school, old school retro game that I need to get into. Taito LD Game Collection, Nintendo Switch. In the mid-90s, I had a Sega CD, and pretty much one of the only full-motion video games that I really got into was Time Gal. That's because it wasn't a live-action full-motion video, but instead it was an interactive anime and was originally a Laserdisc arcade game. It featured a time-traveling lady out to save the future with gameplay that was obviously inspired by Dragon's Lair. In the early 80s, I also greatly enjoyed the anime Battleship Yamato when it was translated and released in the US as Star Blazers, and so it is super cool to find out that there is an anime Laserdisc game based on Battleship Yamato that I've never played. There's also an awesome ninja game. It looks like they remastered the animation from the original sources and it looks amazing. I really hope that a localization is announced soon, and if not, I'm gonna get the Japanese Nintendo Switch version. Technically, it's already out in Japan, but I'm still gonna get it in 2024 if it doesn't get a US release. I should probably just get it because it really doesn't need a translation. Read-Only Memories, Neurodiver. I greatly enjoyed the original Read-Only Memories, I really like the graphical point-and-click adventure with 2D artwork, really great characters and voice acting, and a very inclusive story set in Neo San Francisco. It was like an awesome Sega CD game like Snatcher or Rise of the Dragon, but for modern consoles. So I am super stoked that there is going to be a new one. Also, it's a little ironic that now we're living in a cyberpunk dystopia, that I find creative works that are based on cyberpunk visions from the 1980s to be comforting, cozy, and yet bleak. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. I have been a fan of the semi-open world Yakuza games for a while now, and the previous game was a turn-based RPG. It had more in common with Dragon Quest than Grand Theft Auto. For the first time in the game series, the new game is going to be set in America and is going to take place in Hawaii instead of Japan. So, if you consider a retro game to be a new game in an old-fashioned style, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is a new old-fashioned JRPG, but with modern graphics and in a modern setting. Anyway, it looks insane and exactly the kind of game that I'm into. Retropie games I pre-ordered that I'm looking forward to playing. So, I like pre-ordering physical releases of retro video games, and Retropie has made some really great physical game releases. Problem is that I'm still waiting to get them. These are the following Retropie game releases that I actually can't wait to get my copies of. Even as I write this video, I got an email that says that they're getting close to shipping some of these games. Still, I can't wait until they are in my hand and in my game systems. El Vieto for Genesis, shipping soon. Hammerin Harry 1 and 2, the Concrete Collection for NES, shipping soon. Sol-Deace for Genesis, shipping soon. Assault Suits Valken for Super Nintendo, Target, estimated first quarter 2024, allegedly. Eliminate Down for Genesis, Target, estimated time of arrival, quarter 2 2024, allegedly. Classic retro games I want to play in 2024. Not only am I setting out to actually make a weekly YouTube channel about retro games, but I actually need to play some honest-to-God retro video games. One of the not-so-secret reasons why I'm doing the Talk and Play game series in addition to my regular videos is so I actually get to sit down and play some games instead of just making weekly YouTube videos about them. So, in 2024, I'm going to try and do play and talk videos for the following games in addition to my regular videos. Phantasy Star for Sega Master System. Currently, I made one entry into this, and it was a lot of fun. Even though the start of the game consisted of grinding for better gear, I'm right at the point where I get to start to advance the plot and hopefully get to meet more heroes. It's also fun to play this on original hardware. Snatcher on Sega CD. Since before I got my Mega SD, I've wanted to play through Hideo Kojima's Snatcher and enjoy all that cyberpunk retro aesthetic. I have the Genesis Justifier gun, but I don't think there's a way that I can capture gameplay footage of it because of HDMI capture and the Justifier needing a CRT TV. Boku no Natsuyasumi, PlayStation 1 on Retropie, or Boku no Natsuyasumi 2, PlayStation 2 on RetroArch. I'm very pleased to see that there is a huge interest and warm reception to a fan translation of Boku no Natsuyasumi 2 for PlayStation 2. It was a pioneer cozy game about a boy's summer vacation to the Japanese countryside in the 1970s. I'm debating if I want to start playing the second game on the PlayStation 2 in emulation on my Mac, or if I want to wait until the current translation patch project for the first Boku no Natsuyasumi game for PlayStation 1 is finished. Either way, it sounds like it's right up my alley. Alex Kidd on Sega Master System. Honestly, I've never actually beaten Alex Kidd on Sega Master System. I've only played the first couple stages, but I've never gotten completely through the game. I absolutely need to play through this influential classic Sega platformer in 2024. Now that I have it on cartridge, I can also play it on my EverDrive on original hardware with save states, or I could just play it on original hardware, on my original cartridge. New retro video game hardware that I can't wait to learn about in 2024. Mars FPGA project. Sometimes it feels like I'm the only retro video game nerd on the internet that doesn't have a Mr. system, the very mature, very powerful FPGA project. I am currently holding out to find out more about the upcoming Multiple Arcade Retro Systems FPGA project, or MARS. It is a potential FPGA competitor to Mr. The MARS hardware is specifically designed to play video games via FPGA. It is expected to have versions of all the same cores of the Mr. project, and to also have its own game system cores for the more powerful systems that are not possible on the Mr. Development on Mars has been advancing, and the project team has just started showing off some of it. In 2024, we will actually find out when it's actually going to be released and how much it's going to be. Currently, they're targeting around $700, and we'll learn more about this very promising FPGA retro game project can actually do. Raspberry Pi 5 and Retropie. Emulation is not a dirty word. I have been a big fan of the Raspberry Pi hardware and Retropie software, and I've been using them for several years now, and I really like the console-like user experience. I also started with the Raspberry Pi 3 and moved on to the Raspberry Pi 4. I'm very excited to hear about the Raspberry Pi 5's way more powerful hardware that is 2.5 times the power of the Pi 4, and it can emulate more powerful game systems such as the Sega Saturn, Sega Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, PSP, and even the Nintendo GameCube and Nintendo Wii. The Raspberry Pi 5 will have power to spare to run older game systems at 4K 60 FPS with some sweet advanced graphic filters. Now, I've also been a big fan of Retropie software, and I can't wait to see how future versions of the software distribution are going to be like in future versions. The Retropie UI is still very Linux-like because it is actually Linux, and it's a little clunky and a little disjointed. Personally, I would look forward to some user interface improvements, but over the years I've gotten used to the process of setting up and tweaking a Retropie. One thing that I am not going to do is to buy the Raspberry Pi 5 hardware as soon as it launches, before the software is ready. I got the hardware as soon as I could, and then I had to wait not so patiently for it to be officially supported by a new version of the Retropie software. But when the Retropie software is getting close to be supporting the Raspberry Pi 5, I will pop that tag and upgrade. The Super Nintendo Switch XL. The Super Nintendo Switch XL, or whatever Nintendo is going to call the system that comes after the Nintendo Switch. So, Nintendo was not in a good situation after the Wii U failed to catch on, and they really took a gamble with the Nintendo Switch. And surprisingly, they were completely right and made yet another incredibly capable, completely fun, and wildly successful Nintendo video game system that was less powerful than the offerings from Sony and Microsoft, but it was able to deliver awesome Nintendo experiences, and it was beloved by fans with a huge installed base and allowed game developers to make some really awesome games. Often, When it comes to retro-type games, you can only see them on Nintendo Switch and PC alone, and many of them do not come out for good old PlayStation 5. Now, one thing that I sort of regret doing is getting a Nintendo Switch Lite. I freaking love my Nintendo Switch Lite, except for one fact, and that is it can't do HDMI output, which would really come in handy when making a retro video game themed YouTube channel. I didn't think I was going to be doing this channel when I purchased my Nintendo Switch Lite, but I'm in the donut hole on one hand because I don't think it would be a good idea for me to purchase a new Nintendo Switch just to be able to capture HDMI output. On the other hand, they are probably going to announce and show off what other game system they're doing after the Nintendo Switch in 2024. Personally, I hope that it's going to be an iterative upgrade and they will not be fundamentally changing the good things that they have going for the Switch. All I want is for the Super Nintendo Switch XL to run games in handheld mode in 1080p and to be more powerful while being 100% backwards compatible with all of the existing Nintendo Switch games out of the box. Sometimes, Nintendo likes to embrace some really far out concepts with wacky hardware such as motion control with the Nintendo Wii or the touchscreen controller on the Wii U, and I'm okay with there being a little bit of that new gameplay gimmick with the Super Nintendo Switch, and I'm really looking forward to it being more the same but more powerful. By the way, they haven't officially announced anything and we don't know what it's going to be called, but personally, I'm hoping that they're going to call it the Super Nintendo Switch. Sort of like how the follow-up to the Nintendo Entertainment System was the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Super Nintendo Switch. Just say it to yourself and see how good it sounds. Super Nintendo Switch. Game conventions I'm looking forward to in 2024. I had an absolute great time at Portland Retro Gaming Expo 2023, and my videos from there were pretty well received. So I am definitely going to be doing more retro video game conventions in 2024. SideQuest Expo, March 9th and 10th in Portland, Oregon. So, last year, I went to SideQuest Expo, but it was before I started doing my YouTube channel, and it really is more like a vendor expo or a giant swap meet than a video game convention, and that's because it was based on a retro gaming swap meet. They didn't have speakers or panels or anything like that, but it was an absolute great time to go and buy retro video games. I'm definitely going to be there, and I'm probably going to spend too much money and regret nothing. Washington State Gaming Expo, March 29th through 31st at the Washington State Fairgrounds in Puyallup, Washington. This is a brand new convention, and it's going to be put together by some of the same people who run the Washington State Toy Show and a big anime convention. And it looks like they have a lot of different types of gaming tournaments and such, and a lot of classic game stuff. But honestly, I don't know exactly what to expect because this is the first time that they're hosting this expo. And I'm definitely going to drive up from Portland and check it out for at least the first day. Renton City Retro Convention, May 18th and 19th in Renton, Washington. So, it looks like Renton has been putting on a retro video game convention for the past couple years, and I've never been. But I think it's definitely time for me to drive up there and check it out. Penny Arcade Expo West, August 30th through September 2nd in Seattle, Washington. So, E3 is dead, but Penny Arcade West and Penny Arcade East are still going strong. I used to go to Penny Arcade Expo when it started, but I haven't been back to PAX since I got the PAX pox back in 2009. I got swine flu and I was really sick for an entire month. Also, it's about a month before the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be going to PAX later on in 2024, but I'm thinking about it. Portland Retro Gaming Expo 2024, Portland, Oregon, September 27th through 29th. Not only are the tickets for Portland Retro Gaming Expo 2024 on sale now, but they're available for early bird prices. I chose the 3-day weekend pass because they're actually going to be selling games on the main floor for 3 days this time instead of just 2. That's right, kitty. If you had to go to just one Retro Gaming Expo this year, make it Portland Retro Gaming Expo. It's awesome. New Year's resolutions for this channel. I would like to personally thank every single subscriber, person who left a comment, and anyone who watched any of my videos. My New Year's resolutions for this channel are to continue to make decent videos each week and continue to grow my channel. My chances of getting a video to going viral are pretty low, but sometimes one of my video will catch on and I've had some steady growth that I'm really happy for. I'm looking forward to getting fully monetized and hopefully this spring, and then I need to put myself out there and ask for press credentials and review units. You know how some other YouTubers get games and hardware way before other people and get to do early videos? That's because they get press credentials and they get sent stuff to make videos before they go on sale. I would love to do that. Getting fully monetized on YouTube would mean that I don't have to worry about watch time and views as much as I am. I am well on my way to hit 4,000 public watch hours in a couple months, but once I do that and get fully monetized, then I don't have to worry about the rate of how fast I'm growing this channel. And I can actually focus on doing what I want to do instead of trying to do what's popular. New Year's retro gaming resolutions. Keep going to local game stores and give them my retro gaming dollar. Play some games from beginning to end. Cover more retro indie games and Evercade. Cover more retro games released on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Go to more retro game conventions. Actually stick to my own rules about sticking to my budget when I go to game conventions. Try doing 2 videos a week. One that is a heavily edited, scripted, long-form video like this one, and a shorter gameplay one that could be done in a work night. Don't make holiday-themed videos. I made 4 Christmas-themed videos in December, and they didn't really seem to catch on as well as I would have liked them to. Neither did my Halloween-related video. So I don't see myself making a lot more holiday videos, except for perhaps a President's Day video about Metal Wolf Chaos. But that's about that. I hope you have a safe New Year's Eve and that you have an awesome 2024 full of retro video games. I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider liking this video and subscribe to this channel because I make weekly videos just like this. This is 8-bit joystick. Stay awesome. Play retro.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and